when you're like an inch away from a lawsuit and you don't even know. If this person or gym had spent $400 on different boxes, right? They're not in the middle of a brutal lawsuit right now.
What's up, FBU Nation? We are back. It's Coach AB, Anthony Bevilacqua, alongside Vince Gabriel. And today we have an awesome episode for you guys. We're going to talk about, and this is the title, this is great. Gym owners, don't be open another day until this is fixed. So those doors got to stay locked until you get to the end of this podcast, because I promise you that this episode is going to be jam-packed with things that you need to fix in order to move your gym and your business forward. But what's up, Vince? How we doing, buddy? How's everything? It's almost mastermind week, man. So I know you're getting ready to hunker down.
Yeah, mastermind week is there's always a lot to prepare for coming up, but very excited. Pretty much everyone is coming. I mean, not all people. There'll be some people turning in virtually, but we have a lot of people going to be en route to New Jersey to spend the weekend with us. So I'm super, super excited. So we're about a week away.
Yeah, it's going to be excited. This is the first in-person meeting since March 2020. I hate that day. That March 2020 is the worst. Yeah. It was just not a fun month going forward. I'll never forget. We were sitting there, and my wife, I was leaving Florida. We were in Florida. We had the mastermind meeting in Florida. Leaving Florida, my wife's like, I hope you can get on the plane. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, everything's getting bad over here. I'm like, with what? She's like, this virus thing. I'll be fine. I remember walking through the airport. It was so quiet. No one was there. I'm like, what is going on? And then we came home and boom, lockdown. It was like the next day I got home. That was insane timing. Timing.
Yeah, even when I flew down to Orlando, there was no one on my flight.
Yeah.
Nobody. But it was still like this. It was definitely around and definitely there, but it was just, we didn't even talk about it that much at Mastermind, because we were like if you think about it, that's how little time that we had to prepare. That we had our meeting on the 7th and 8th or 6th or 7th or something, and we were shut down on like the 14th. And if we knew anything like that was coming, like a massive shutdown, we would have been at that meeting talking about it. And even Tom Plummer, who's a fitness business legend, he spoke at that seminar. Didn't say a word about COVID-19. Not once, not the whole time. Right. And so it's just, it's mind boggling that here we are, at our first meeting close to, was it like 16 months later?
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, we've had in-person meetings. We're in a different group, the CEO group, which is the higher level group, and we've met in person. So I've kind of been a little bit spoiled, and we've kind of met in person, for a couple of times. But this is the first time where everyone's going to be there too. So this is going to be fun.
Yep.
This is going to be fun, and you always do a bunch of cool things at those events. So it's going to be awesome. And I think, aren't we having a barbecue after?
Yeah, we're having a barbecue. We're bringing over, Vanessa and I moved into a new house in December. So we're bringing everyone over to the house for a barbecue after day one, which will be really exciting.
You better hide Joe Hashi from your barbecue, because he's probably going to make fun of the size of it, or that it's not like, a pit that you cook food in.
Yeah, no,
he has some weird thing that he has probably.
Yep. Yeah. No, we'll be good. Joe Hashi, he gets the guest room too.
All right, man. Let's get this rolling. So I'm sure everybody's wondering, well, what do I got to do here to fix this and move forward?
Yep. So I had a conversation, and I need to be as discreet as possible in explaining this, because there's legal implications, not with me. So I'm going to use very general terms. I was talking to
I see what you did there.
A friend.
I see what you did there. Do you want to tell everybody what you just did?
No. I was talking to a friend who's a lawyer. Okay. I was talking to a friend who's a lawyer, and he came up to me and he was talking to me about box jump boxes. And he said to me, he's like, hey, I noticed that you don't have any box jump boxes in here. And he said, is there a reason for that? And I said, yeah, to be honest, one, they take up a lot of room. And two, it's, I've seen a lot of, stuff where people are really banging up their legs on boxes. And so we just decided, not to have them and to jump in place and do things like that. And she's like, interesting. Yeah. Cause I'm in the middle of a lawsuit right now where one of the clients jumped onto a box and missed the box, and both of their shins hit the box. And the box was old and worn on the side. So there was like this almost like sharp edge that was created, and there was wood and metal that was kind of like combined and exposed. And their shins went into this box and just literally like lit up this person's shins. They had to get surgery. It was like a really bad accident, to the point where there was a lawsuit now because of this. And a big part of what they're using in this is that the equipment that they had was not maintained. And so there was a risk, and basically they're calling negligence because this was not taken care of and not addressed. And I do believe that a lot of us sometimes can have those types of things in our business, in our gym, and not even realize that they're there. When you're like an inch away from a lawsuit and you don't even know. If this person or gym had spent $400 on different boxes, right? They're not in the middle of a brutal lawsuit right now. So the premise of this point, and what I want to make a point today is this: there are things that are in your business that must be fixed right away. You should not have anything broken in your business. There should be no holes in the walls. There should be no pieces of equipment that are broken. There should no be bands that are ready to snap. There shouldn't be no cables that are frayed. Okay. Now the opposite example of this is where I just was, and what made me think about doing this podcast. The opposite example of this is Disney. Now I was at Disney over the last 4 days, and Disney is it's mind blowing how big it is. It's its own country, right? And obviously, everyone knows listening to this that what's one of Disney's big principles is that they are the cleanest park. And if you think about walking around Disney, and I was there, and I went to Epcot by myself for the day, and I'm walking around Epcot, and I'm looking for garbage. Because I know that Disney is like, that's their thing, right? That's their thing. It's like, and I can't find garbage anywhere, not one piece of garbage on the floor. And I did some learning while I was there. And I actually went to this presentation called 7 Keys to Disneyfy Your Business. And
was it a Disney thing that you went to? Was it actually a Disney thing?
The person that presented it was a Disney employee for
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. So it's 7 keys to Disneyfy your business. I don't have time to go over all the keys. I actually went over them with SPF Mastermind yesterday. So one of the biggest factors was the wow component. And I showed a picture to you guys yesterday, and the picture was, it's got this monolift, which is like the ski lift, and it takes you from park to park in through the air. But I snapped a picture, and underneath this monolift is this beautifully green cut grass. And there's like those big poles that hold the monolift in place. And normally there's like all kinds of crap and dirt under those things, right? Nobody walks on this because it's literally, that's what the monolift goes over. So no one ever walks on this grass, and there was a fence there. And I looked, and Disney has this beautifully cut grass with actually a design cut in it, a really nice design cut in it. And I was looking at that, I was like, that's unbelievable. No one ever walks on that grass. And that's a wow component to their business. The cleanliness in Disney is a wow factor. The way they, their employees, treat you with good service and friendly service. They have this line they use called aggressively friendly. right? They're like aggressively friendly, which I think is actually a really cool thing. But Disney has all these components that are really wow. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I could go on forever on pulling up the things that are wow. But the point I want to make is there are things in our business that are wow, and then there are things that are business that are not wow. And both need to be identified. So if you think about the not wow stuff, the not wow stuff is the broken equipment. The not wow stuff is the box that's shredded, that's going to shred someone's legs up. The not wow equipment is the rusted chip, kettlebell. So all of these things. So what the assignment here, right? And what I kind of want to deliver to you, and this won't be a long podcast because I really want to just give you this and have you go and do it. I want you to go and look at your business and walk around your physical structure. Start with your physical structure and walk around your physical structure and be like, what's not wow? What's going on in this place right now that's potentially making me vulnerable? What's going on right now that a client could walk around and be like, why am I paying $400 a month to come to this gym and there's a hole in the wall? Why am I coming to pay $400 a month to this gym and there's no toilet paper in the toilet, or there's no paper towels in the thing, right? Like all these little things. And we talk about pricing, right? And we talk about charging premium prices. Well, why can Disney charge premium prices? Why do they charge 3, 5, 7, 10 times more money for what everyone else charges? Is because they have all these things that are so dialed in and so wow that you don't even think twice about spending the money. I mean, they wrote me, they rung me up for my day at Epcot, and it was like $137 or something for one day at Epcot, and I was just like, oh, whatever, right? And I'm not saying that's like a small amount of money, and I'm not saying that like I don't, I'm not sensitive to price, but it was kind of like, all right, it's Disney. I know it's going to be expensive, but I also know that it's going to be good. And so if you're out there and you want to charge high prices and you want to make sure that your business is protected, you want to make sure your business is strong, then you really got to eliminate all the non-wow stuff first. And then you just got to start to think about ways that you can Disneyfy your business, right? And one of the best things that you could ever do as a business owner is go to Disney. And this was the first time I've went to Disney without my kids. And when you're with your kids, it's kind of hard to be, thinking about business and looking at everything that's going on. But what you really should do is you should book a trip to go to Disney and walk around and just learn and walk around and be like, man, look at all this stuff, because there is no business on the planet that is better at extracting large amounts of money from people and making them feel good about it. There's not a better business in the world that does that. And so when you know something like that, there are so many things that you can take. I mean, I was literally walking around Epcot, with my notebook, and I'm writing down all these different things. Now, Disney is one example. There could be other businesses like this in your community that you could go around and learn from. It's not the point here. But the big thing is, the big concept I want everyone to walk away with is looking at your business right now and identifying what is wow, what do you got that's wow, and what is not wow. And this is a great exercise for your team. Okay. A great exercise for your squad to do, where you guys sit together and do this exercise, and you identify what's wow and what's not wow, and you build on the wow and you eliminate the not wow. So that's kind of the premise of today.
Yeah, I mean, Disney has a lot of stuff, man. They do everything. I mean, everything they do is you literally have to just go there, like you said. Even on that monolith thing, the kids pointed it out to me last time. They have like some of the cars that they travel in have the Disney characters on them. So it's like they're always promoting themselves. It's like subconsciously getting promoted of something else that they have there or something else that they have. Brand recognition is everywhere there. And it's funny because you talked about how much it is to get in. But that's just to get in. That's not including like to eat or to buy anything or whatever. So, that's the price of admission, right?
Yeah. And the cool thing about Disney is, what they do is it's all about experiences, right? And the guy that was teaching this about the wow component, he made a really cool thing. He's like, if you stripped away all of the magic and all the stories and you're left with just the ride, Disney kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like go through Small World and take everything away. And just it's the ride. What is it?
Yeah.
Like I went to there was an Epcot thing that was like the five senses. It was like a five senses ride. And you're on this rickety roller coaster and you're just slowly going around in a circle. It's like, if you really think about it, that's a ride, right? The ride is a ride, but it's not the ride, right? It's the creativity, it's the imagination, it's the experience that goes with the ride. And I think that's the difference is like, we have to look at training is training like a ride is a ride. And you got to look at your training. It's like, what do you need to do to your training? It's like, yeah, is a great training experience someone that comes in and you go do 3 sets of 10 and then you go to the next thing and do sets of 10, right? Versus when you come to the gym, there's a trainer that knows you by name. There's personalized information. There's specific, things where they're working around your injuries and stuff like that. So there's this built-up experience for it, and I think that that's what the big thing that people need to understand is that there is another level that you can get to in your business. Part of it is going to be, immersing yourself in places like Disney, spending time around other gym owners and business owners that have adopted some of these principles and putting that into your own. But I will say the big thing before you can create wow components as Disney does, eliminate the not wow. That's really the main point of what everyone will walk away from this podcast is whatever is not wow, that needs to be eliminated before you do anything else.
I want to ask you a question then.
Yeah.
So basically, what have you done to eliminate that wow in your gym? Like, what have you eliminated? Like, so when you did, I know you did this before. This is not new to you. You just got a kind of like a refresher on it because you've done this before because we've talked about
Correct.
this.
Yeah, this was years ago that we had this talk. Yeah.
So what did you do in your business when you came back? So you had this moment where you're like, okay, what's not wowed in my business? What did you find, like in your personal, like what did you find at GFP that needs to get changed and be better? And so maybe people can learn from what you did.
Yep. So here's one example. So you guys, how assault, I know AB doesn't do any cardio at all, but most of us do cardio. But we have these things called assault bikes, AB, and they're actually these bikes with these fans and the arms move and stuff. And actually your heart rate goes up a little bit when you do them. AB only has dumbbells in his gym.
And barbells.
And barbells. Yeah. No kettlebells, right?
I actually have a couple. We had to get them during
he's
COVID.
He's got a kettlebell. Yeah.
I have 6.
That's one of the things I love about AB because he's very he's not swayed by, other businesses. He sees the majority of the businesses in our group, they're more functional training businesses, right? They're using cables, they're, swinging kettlebells, they're doing primal movement patterns, and AB's just like, nah, we just curl and we squat and bench and that's about all we do, right? And it's just like, I love that about AB because he's not. It does work, right? It does work. I mean, he bangs people up, but it's totally fine about that. But one of the things
we make modifications, man. You can't do a squat, we give you a goblet squat. It's fine.
That's perfect. So with the one kettlebell, so you got to wait in line for the kettlebell because there's only one kettlebell to do a goblet squat. we got a 32. We got it at Sports Authority. We got the 32 pound kettlebell at Sports Authority. All right, wait. So one of the big realizations was when I kind of learned this. Wow. I realized a couple things that we were doing. One of the things so when these assault bikes would break, and that's often, we would put a band around it. We took one of the red bands and we would wrap the band around the bike. And that band would just signify to not use that bike. Well, what is that to a client? That's an eyesore to a client. That's something that should be removed from the floor and not in the sight of the client. This is another thing, Disney, another principle. Disney has this thing called front stage and backstage. And everywhere you go in Disney, they have these special doors that say cast members only. That's what Disney calls their employees, is cast members. And this is what the guy said. It was really funny. He's like, you never see Cinderella smoking a cigarette, but she's a chain smoking. She's a chain smoking girl, but you never see her smoking a cigarette. And that's the thing. It's like Disney does not show what happens behind the scenes. It's a totally separate thing. So there's front stage and backstage. And so as a business, as a gym, we should always be taking care of the front stage. Well, your facility, your equipment, the way your trainers dress, the way your trainers look, right? All of that is front stage. So I saw some things like that in my own business that I was like, man, this is not wow. Walking through a gym and seeing a band wrapped around a bike. What is that? Out of order sign, right? What does it look like when you go see something and it says out of order? It's terrible. It's a terrible thing to see, and it's a knock against that. So I started to see stuff like that in my own business. Even like, so one of the things we used to do was we used to lean plates up against the wall. We would take the sled. We had a sled. We would push a sled back and forth, right? And instead of putting the plates against the wall, we put a rack there, and then we put the plates on the rack. And now the wall doesn't get messed up. And now there's not lines in the wall. We started to paint more often and look into the facility. And we now have this thing where we have a direct line to the handyman. We have a special handyman that's dedicated to GFP, not a full-time role, but anytime there's anything broken, we call him and immediately he needs to come and fix it. And so these were some of the things that we did, and we did like a walkthrough and says like, what's not wow? And we honestly started this when COVID hit. Right? Because what did you have to do during COVID? Well, you had to make sure that everything was clean. Here's another example. Airx pads. Airx pads are those blue pads, right? You know the amount of bacteria and the amount of crap that when there's a little crack in an Airx pad.
Yeah, they get disgusting.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, that's like, so COVID started to hit and we're like, man, there's going to be nothing that is going to be left to chance. Right. And if you think about it, Disney ran their business like that since they started. Right. Disney was always talking cleanliness. Disney was always talking, cleanest park. They were always doing this. There was not much of a difference. I was at Disney in this global pandemic. I didn't see much difference in Disney today than I did in Disney when I was there in March before COVID hit.
Yeah.
Why? Because they've always done it.
It's true.
They've always done it. So those are some examples. But the big thing that I think people should do is I say that they should walk through the business. They should walk through their business and identify what is not wow. Get with your team and walk through what is not wow. And that's physical structure, but also what's not wow about your program. Does your warm-up suck? Has your warm-up been the same for the last 20 years? Are there things about the way you're doing your business that are just like tired and stale and need to be rejuvenated? Do you have an employee that's not wow, that potentially needs to be let go? I mean, I was adamant about this, and I told you guys, from March last year on, if you end COVID-19 with an employee that you didn't want before COVID, that's like, get ready to tattoo their name on your forehead and adopt them into your family because they're never going anywhere. Because if you didn't get rid of them during COVID, you ain't never getting rid of them. Remember, this is not getting rid of good employees. to save payroll. This is getting rid of the employees that were not right in the first place. And you had the best excuse on the planet to get rid of them. And you should have done it years ago.
Well, still in COVID, so technically you can still, if you need to, still use it.
I guess we still are in COVID.
I don't know, but I think that's good. I think it's good. Like, I know like you brought this up yesterday, and I know that there's this one nick on the wall that someone made that I don't know who made in my second facility, and that nick is bothering me every night. So I'm going to make them paint it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
That nick is bothering me.
It's the details, but it's the details. Right.
And it's funny because I was talking about this too with one of my other trainers the other day. This was before you even brought it up, but there was like a little bit of garbage that kind of flew in front of like our door. And it was definitely from one of our neighbors, but I just picked it up and threw it out anyway. So he's like, "Why are you picking up their garbage?" I said, "Because it's in, people see that. People see that. And you don't want people to see that. So sometimes it may not even have anything to do with you. I know for me, I mean, I'm in New York, we share like the back way and the front way with others. Like, we're on a strip mall, so you can kind of, we share it. So when we have the door open in the back, you can see like the other people's junk, or if there's landscaping in the back that's not clean. So I always go back there and make sure I clean that. So when we have the door open in the back, it doesn't look like a mess back there. And I think that that's important too, to realize that sometimes maybe some things aren't out of your control, but sometimes you have to go a little bit above and beyond to make sure you keep like those little details, like you said, like underneath those big tracks of that monolith thing, Disney keeps it clean.
Yep.
And it's the same thing for your facility.
Yeah. And this is one of the lines that the guy used, is the details increase the lifetime value, which is everything. And I'm going to be talking about lifetime value a lot at the mastermind, but the details increase the lifetime value. And don't think that the nick on the wall, don't think that the towels not being in the bathroom, don't think that, the broken piece of equipment that says out of order on it, that's probably not going to make someone quit. But it's these little like knocks against you that start to add up over time. And the less of those knocks that you have, the longer the lifetime value of your clients will be.
Agreed.
Right? And remember, and we kind of talked about this even before the call, you can only focus on things that you can control. And a broken piece of equipment is something that you can control. A hole in the wall is something you can control. A decision to make something better that's not wow right now is in your control. And that's what I love this exercise, is because sometimes we get frustrated and we try to be like, oh, I got this client and they're not coming in, and what do I do? No, like, you can't really control someone else's behavior. You can't control what's going on in someone else's life. You can only control your reaction and your response to that situation. And that's why this is such a powerful exercise, because this is in your control. The details are in your control. The wow experience is in your control. Yeah. And that's something that you can actually do about it.
Right. So guys, could look around today, walk through your gym, go through the walkthrough, pretend you're a normal client, go through what's broken, what needs to be fixed. Maybe things need to be moved. Maybe an area of your gym is too cluttered and you need to move it. Go through the gym as you're a client and really look around at what's not up to par here. What can be better? What can we fix? That's in your control, like Vince said. And I think that was the key right there, focusing on what you can control, and that's it. But I think that was pretty good, man. We beat that up pretty good. So hopefully now you can unlock your doors, walk through, figure out what needs to be changed, and wow it up.
Yeah. And again, the whole unlock the doors thing was a little bit of an exaggeration, obviously, especially if I'm talking about a little nick on the wall. But I will say this, if going full circle and going back to the story that I told in the very beginning, if you have a piece of something in your business that is potentially a liability and, could cause harm or injury, you're putting yourself and your entire business at risk. So that I would address right away. And the speed of that stuff is important.
Yep. Agreed, my friend. Agreed. All right, guys. Well, listen, if we wowed you today, I want you to head on over and make sure you hit that subscribe button on this podcast if you're a first-time listener. And if not, make sure you leave us a 5-star review too. Let us know what we wowed you with today. Last week I gave you homework to do and to pick something to do and take action on it. So hopefully you did that. So today I'm going to ask you to go and take action again and leave us a 5-star review. Let us know how we wowed you and help us to reach more gym owners who need help, just like you. Also, I should head on over to vincesfreebook.com. I gotta pull my book out so I can show it on the screen here. So people watching on YouTube can see the book that they're actually going to get. But it's a good book, guys. Take my word for it. Trust me, it's good. It's good. All right, man. So until the next time.
Peace.